Hello and welcome to Gameplay Casts. In this video I'm going to, finally, be tackling my Tyranids from the Leviathan box. The Tyranids are not an army I ever expected to own, but I'm a man who does not believe in battle ready. It's perfection or nothing. Hive Fleet Leviathan is cool, but I'm not blown away by the scheme. Personally, I'm drawn to the red and black scheme of Hive Fleet Behemoth. This Hive Fleet was among the first Tyranids to attack the Imperium, ending in the Battle of Macragge. This was a pretty brutal battle in which the entirety of the Ultramarines 1st Company veterans was wiped out. You can check out the fandom wiki page on the following link in the description if you want to read more into the lore. I think this establishes Hive Fleet Behemoth as being pretty cool. I love the red and black, and I just happen to have all the colours I need already.
Well, isn't that convenient for you?
Now, I've just done a test model to look at my concept and see what works. I was looking to add a metallic effect to the chitin, whatever. But I couldn't really get it right, and a grey or non-metallic dry brush to really try and give it that organic feel. I also liked the idea of the armour having that kind of greenish tinge you get in the black of a crow's feather. By stippling green into the model, I think I kind of got that effect, but I feel like I want to lean into it a bit more heavily, so using a brighter green, stippling that a bit heavier on the highlights might be the way forward. For this video, I'm going to start with the fodder units, so my Termagants, Neurogants, and Barbagants. Barbagants? Jesus. Stop filling in the blanks, brain. Plus the random Ripper Swarms. So I think I'm going to cut these videos in half, and have a part 1 for the line units, and have a part 2 for the jazzy specials. Those being the Von Ryan's Leapers, the Winged Tyranid Prime, the Psychophage, and the Neurotyrant, and then finally the awesome Screamer Killer, which you may have seen in a short. Because obviously, speaking from the future here, I finished painting the line units and started on the specials, and put off making the video for a number of weeks, mainly due to doing reviews of the Acolyte, which turned out to be a big disaster. Check out those videos with a link on the screen now, if that's your thing. Due to the number of models, I need a process, and then to turn that into a production line. For my Behemoth theme, you'll need the following colours shown on the screen now. Don't worry if you miss them, I'll put them in the description too. Let's start with some base coats. My process is as follows. First up, start with some Abaddon Black on the chitin. Once dry, add a grey dry brush, just on the edges, and then finally stipple on some green on the highlights. Second, add in the red contrast paint for the body. Once that's dry, go back and use some Black Templar on the joints. Now to base the rest of the details. I'm going to do the teeth and claws in the same green/teal as the chitin highlight. Base the gun in white and the tongue in pink. The final base paint will be for the eyes, for which I'll be using Uriel Yellow. Take your time and don't worry about any overspill. It's easy enough to go back and cover these with Fleshed Terrors Red, which I must say is one of my favourite contrast paints. It's a great colour and has excellent coverage. We're also going to be slapping Null Noil all over, so we can hide some mistakes.
Heresy grows from idleness.
With all the base coats down, it's time to add some texture to the bases. I'm doing this now so if I get the Agrellian Earth texture somewhere I shouldn't, I don't risk ruining a finished area. It's easy to just wait for this texture paint to dry, and then knock it off from where it's not supposed to be. Step 1. Slap a very thick coating of Agrellian Earth crackle paint directly onto the base. Wait for it to dry. If you've got it thick enough, you should get some nice big plates that will give you the large cracks that we're looking for. Step 2. Cover everything in watered down white paint. You might need to do 1 or 2 coats, but really what we're looking for is to get as much white into the joints or the cracks as possible so that they'll look the brightest when we put the next layer on. Once that's dry, paint the whole base with Slaanesh Purple. Probably want to water it down a bit again to make sure it really gets into those cracks. Following this step, we want to add a dry brush in pink, Screamer Pink, or whatever bright pink you have to hand is fine. And then the final kind of optional step is to add a watered down glaze like Null Noil, or what I did was use some watered down Juicy Violet shade, just to make sure everything has that purple hue. Boom! Overcomplicated bases done. Well, not 100% done, because right at the end, we'll be adding some details like tufts and some alien pigments to really sell that alien effect. The first step is to correct any mistakes in the base coats or overspills from basing. Honestly, I know it's faffy, but you'll thank yourself when you look back and you admire your first class minis. Once we're happy the mini is shipshape and Bristol fashion, we can start the penultimate step. Here we're going to deepen the shadows and restore some of the details. The easiest way to do both at the same time is with Nuln Oil. So add a generous Nuln Oil wash over the whole model, including any weapons. Once dry, having deepened our shadows, it's time to highlight with some Evil Sunz Scarlet. For speed, I'm just going to carefully add a red dry brush over all the red, taking care to avoid the other base coats. Once this is done, I paint on some larger areas or spot/line highlights in the most prominent areas, such as the top of the tail and the shoulders. I'm not going to go all the way to white, I don't think, as these guys are battle line and, to be honest, there are just far too many of them. Ooh, check me out, skipping a step. For the barb gaunts, I added a glow effect to the brain areas, building up from the red base using Wild Rider Red, which is more orange, and mixing that with Uriel and Bad Moon Yellow to create the glow effect, which I then extenuated with some OSL by adding some progressive dry brushing of the same colours to the surrounding areas. I probably could have gone a lot harder here, but I didn't want to ruin the nice black-green armour effect I'd spent so long creating. With this done, we can also add some edge or spot highlights to the Caliban green on the teeth and claws. And then finally, we're going to add some, I want to say Drukhari violet, but it's Drukchi violet. Sounds more Klingon. Drukchi violet to the weapon details, and boom! The longest, most painful painting sessions of my life is done. Cue the big reveal. Sorry, what did Lucas and Emil say? Sorry, the grand reveal. What a beautiful army of Xenos filth. As you can see, I added some finishing touches to the bases in the form of these alien coloured tufts, some strange crystal formations that I made from some old sprues, and rounded off the bases with a nice sprinkling of alien pigments. Then for some of the nids, at random I added some saliva to the open maws using Yoo-Hoo glue, and with the same process added gore to some of the claws. The only difference here is I mix in some Flesh Tearers red to make that stringy gore look. All's well that ends well. I'm not sure I ever want to paint another Tyranid line unit again. I'll definitely do the HQs, but I'm not sure there are any Termagants in my future. Anyway, that is all you get, and as always, fuck Erebus.